Okay, so I am here in an old section of a cemetery. This is Crosby Lake Cemetery in Bradford County. Now this right here, you would never know. Look, there's trees right here. You would never know that there were graves. I'm gonna step back so you can see. You would never know there were graves back there. So what I have decided to do, just look at the condition that this is in. I'm just bringing awareness to old, abandoned, or not just abandoned, but old cemeteries, or either old sections of cemeteries that are that need some loving care. Now, I do believe that some of these fallen trees, they have some of the inmates come out, and to give them some work, they'll have them clean up debris, like from, this is probably from one of the storms. But what I want to do is come in here. I'll leave the yard work up to the, this is just so pretty, I love cemeteries, up to the keepers of the cemetery, or the, like I said, the inmates to come in. We are surrounded by prisons, and let them, clean up the debris and mow and weed eat and stuff. But my plan, let me just climb down here, is to remember the forgotten. Now you see some of these, it's still being used. Some of these are fairly like 1968, 1974. But what I'm wanting to do is come and bring flowers and put on each of the graves that don't have flowers, that it appears that they've been forgotten. Like, look at this. Once I'm done videoing this, I'm going to be having some videos posted of the Evergreen Cemetery. But look at this. This is just, look at that. That's sad. And no telling how old or how long it's been since that was there, since that flower was planted there. This person passed away in 1926. Look at this poor guy here, Garhart, all by himself, right here. No family beside him. He's definitely going to have some flowers. This little family here, these are old graves, but someone is remembering them. That's family, I'm sure, coming in, putting flowers. You can see that one back there. But let me show you, just like this one right here. I know I'm panning really fast. I'm going to cut some of this out. But look here. Michael Maruka. He was born 1901, died in 1947. Infant son, died in 1941. That must be another family member of the Marukas. But really needs some loving care. Let me show you. And there's some really old ones here. This is the old section of this cemetery. This is so sad. This is the old section of this cemetery. It has a newer section. In fact, you can see it from here. I can probably zoom in. And people are still being buried here. And there's a mausoleum as well. And believe it or not, even in this older section, because look, there's still plenty of room. In this older section here, people are still getting buried. It might not cost as much. Maybe, it don't cost as much to be buried out in this section. But look right here. I'm so tempted to plant grass, but I'm not going to. Look how pretty this is. Bessie Grant, she has no flowers in her. And I know they spent some good money for this. So I'm going to put some flowers in that. That, apparently someone has gone around on Memorial Day and put flags on the graves where they were a part of a war. So William Grant, born 1871, died 1923. This is not the oldest. I've seen some really old ones. But look here, no grass, no flowers. part of the gate has fallen over. Look at this beautiful bench. I'm sure the family used this, had that put there on purpose, so that there's no way I could pick this up. This was not here last time I was here. This had not fallen here. But anyways, let's see, this person, June 18, I can't tell. I'm sure if I took a piece of paper and went over it. But here's one. Here's an infant. Joseph, born 1880 something, and died 1886. They died in 1886. So this grave, this is old. And I've walked all over this cemetery in the past, and my main concern is the condition. Look at this. Look at this. And it's all sunken in. And Mr. Green or Mrs. Green, I have no idea. I haven't looked at the name yet. But look at this. This is terrible. I do not... This has probably been here since they were buried. I'll come over here. This will tell their names right here. So this Miss Melba Green, Jones Gallagher Funeral Home. So they put this here in 2011. This grave isn't even that old, and look at the condition it's in. It's just, she probably wanted to be buried with her family, and I would want to do the same thing. So look at these beautiful trees. This could be an absolutely beautiful cemetery. I'm going to walk a little bit further down. Hey, Garth. My dog. He needs a bath. Okay, so let's just take a walk, because this really is pretty. I don't know if you're like me, but I love to walk in cemeteries and just read some of the headstones. But it's so big back here. It is huge. It is absolutely huge. Just headstones everywhere you can. Here's a road, so if I might hop in the car. Let me hop in the car and we'll scan through. We'll scan through. I'm gonna hop in the car because I want you to see how big this place is. Just absolutely a shame. These beautiful big oak trees, just absolutely gorgeous. Can you imagine planting flowers and plants out here, keeping the grass mowed? How beautiful it would be. So peaceful. You know, there's a tradition that some people do in other countries, and I've even know someone who does it here in the United States. They actually go to the cemetery and they'll have a picnic, and they will eat and enjoy fellowship with their family right around their, you know, if their family's buried in a certain section, they'll sit right there and they'll all have a family gathering and picnic with grandma and grandpa and their cousins and uncles, and just as if they were still alive. So, and I'm driving just up through the middle here. This place is huge. And I don't know if you've ever gone on YouTube and checked some of the, oh, that's a neat one. I'm gonna go check that one out. If you've ever gone on YouTube and checked some of the videos out of where people visit these cemeteries, like the one in Savannah. The oldest one there in Savannah, I can't remember the lady's name, but she took an EVP box with her and everything, and that's not my purpose of doing this. Garth, it's okay, buddy. Here, let me take my dog in just a second. I probably just made y'all dizzy. But anyway, she took her EVP box with her, and she accidentally found an old tombstone that was 1771. He passed away in 1771. He was born in 16 something. It was amazing. And it said on there, it made allegiance, excuse me, to royalty. And the person wasn't royalty, no, but they mentioned the Queen on their headstone. So that was really, really neat. And then another gentleman I watched on YouTube where he found an old abandoned cemetery in Florida, out near Tampa, out in the Wallahoochee or something like that state park, out in the middle of the woods. And it used to be an old cattle town. And he found a lot of remnants of that town in an old cemetery. So it's just really interesting. And there's another one near Orlando. It was a town called Adamsville. And the only thing that's left of that town is just the cemetery itself. It used to have it was a pit stop between Tampa and northern Florida, a stagecoach pit stop. And the cemetery came to be because the stagecoach driver died, and they buried him right where he died at, and they just began a cemetery right there in Adamsville. So, all right, so I'm going to look at this real quick, and then I'm going to shut the video off. But look at this. This is amazing. I'm going to let you see. Wainwright. They were born in 1851. They died in 1909. And when I go to leave the cemetery, I'm going to look at when the cemetery was established, because it does have, on the outside, when you're first coming in, it tells you what years it was established, and I could have swore it said 18 something. So this gentleman was born in 1859, died in 1920 something. But there you go. But the headstones, look how pretty they are. You know, and back in the day, and I don't want to be disrespectful. Back in the day, the families would mark them off like this. See how this is marked off? Or they would have gates around them, and I'll show you one with a gate in a second. Apparently they have a couple of infants here. Look at this. Or young children. Born in 1866, died in 1879. Son of C&E-S, so that's their son right there. And here's another one. Born 1879. Now this might be a set of twins here. Not sure. Just like this right here, I'm sure the family got together and they built this together. Like my family, I have a lot of carpenters and stonemasons in my ancestry, and I'm from North Carolina, and they built their own. Speaking of the cemetery in Adamsville, if you'll look that up, the gentleman that did the YouTube video, some of those markers were so old that they hand wrote the names on there, and of course they did their S backwards. You know, they couldn't spell real good, some of them. And then there's also some really old wooden ones, wooden crosses, and they've had to go around and replace those. And there's some unnamed ones now. So look at here. This is interesting. Okay, now there is a coffee mug on this one. Isn't that something? Avery Carl Mills, son of J.B. and Edna, born May 19th, 1917. Oh, died in 1918, so he was only a year old. So I guess someone left that mug sitting there. But look at this. There's some flowers there. Just look around. There's no flowers hardly. This is what I was talking about, gates right here. This one, the gate is broken off. But this apparently had a full gate around it. You'll see there's another one that's got a whole family with a gate. This one person was born in 1849. Come over here. 1849. Died in 1880. This is amazing. Let's see. Garth wants to get down so bad. So, and if you look way back there, you can see where someone was recently buried. So people do use this.